Hi, this is Mark Wahlstrom. I'm here with the Legal Broadcast Network in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're at the Mass Torts Made Perfect Conference, and joining me is my friend and co-host on the Legal Broadcast Network, Jan Schlichtmann, and the principal.
A great pleasure here, Mark, to be here, to enjoy this very exciting conference and to share it with you.
Absolutely.
And to get to, the two of us get to interview each other about all the exciting stuff happening.
It's sort of a video of Civil Action Radio, so it's maybe Civil Action TV for our first edition, but what we really wanted to talk about, and we've had some tremendous interviews, a lot of stuff going on, but I know you've got some really exciting news. First of all, the launch of the Civil Action Center.
Yes, the Civil Action Center was launched just this week, Mark,
Yep.
just in time to, as a prelude to the Mass Torts Made Perfect conference,
Yep.
in which we're able to talk about a lot of exciting stuff. And then in the center, we have all the interesting projects that we have launched
Right.
recently that people can look at, that are a new way of practicing the law, better ways of serving clients, and
Well,
we're
and
all
you-
excited about that.
Well, and you were all over the AP and Newswires this week with the Shade Tree Trust, which is really one of the innovations. If you go to Google and type in Shade Tree or Shade Tree Trust or Schlichtmann, you're going to just see literally hundreds of stories and articles on the Shade Tree Trust, and that was a recent innovation of the trust product that we're using. You've got the Danversport Trust, which you presented a little bit on here today, as well as the Wilmington Trust, but also the big news, which is the, well, why don't you
Well,
tell
the
people
beginning
about
of the Procrit project, actually the anemia drug project, which
Right.
involves the drug Procrit, as well as Aranesp and Epigen, which were drugs that were used to stimulate red blood cell production, especially in cancer patients who are receiving chemotherapy. And our really announcement of this trust really to the lawyers about how we can all work together to best serve and help determine how extent the nature of the injuries that were caused by this now becoming revealed to be a very dangerous drug that has a lot less efficacy than people thought.
Right. Now, and one of the things too, and I know you presented on this morning, and you're going to be talking about it at the breakout session this afternoon, and it's going to be an ongoing theme of the Civil Action Center, and a lot of the things that you're doing is really, you know, the topic today was a new means of case resolution. Now, talk a little bit about the trust and some of the things that you're doing, because it is new. A lot of people are going to come away from the conference, or are going to hear from people who are at the conference, or get emails, or, you know, the word kind of filters out that there's this new methodology. Talk a little bit about that methodology and how we kind of came to this point, and what brought us to this innovation that we hope is going to help with Mass Torts.
It's been a long journey, as you know, Mark. You know, when we first got involved in some of these very complicated cases, environmental cases, like the case in Toms River, New Jersey, really between the two of us, and we really struggled with how best to be able to help when there are a lot of people who've been injured by a common wrong. How are you going to be able to bring them together, get all the facts together, and then be able to determine, you know, if there is a resolution, a settlement, what's the best way to allocate those benefits. And out of all of that really came this developing idea, which we have now developed into several really great projects, the use of a trust, the so-called 468B trust,
Right.
which of course we have a lot of great interviews that we got
Rob
today.
Wood and
Nation's
Brian
leading
Michaels,
tax expert, Brian Michaels from
Right.
ATG,
Right.
a lot of other lawyers who are really intrigued by the concept.
Yes.
This is very exciting, you know, about how we really have an opportunity for there to be an aggregation of the claims into like a corporation of claims.
Yes.
And by becoming a corporation of claims, the people are able to attract the best lawyers and the best professional services to be able to engage the other side, learn what happened, and then hopefully resolve it.
Right, and so much of that is, as you've mentioned, it's really been a journey. You know, the problems that have happened in other litigation, the experiences that trial lawyers have had, but professionals such as myself, the inability to actually provide adequate financial planning for people in a trust, the Medicare and Medicaid liens that don't get resolved. We had Matt Gerritsen on earlier today.
Yes, he did a really great interview with Matt. He was able to talk about that special expertise that he has developed about helping people determine Medicare and Medicaid liens, the things that just totally bedevil lawyers who they don't have any special knowledge about. And he explained how using the 468B trust allowed him to be able to do his special stuff that he does in resolving these things, and doing it quicker and better and more efficiently by using it in the trust on the front end.
Right. And I think that's really the key, is that, I mean, there's a learning process that people go through, and we're going to be doing just a whole series of podcasts blog posts. We're going to have guest commentators on, guest attorneys on, really over the next 3 to 6 months as we begin to develop, I think, the educational and training expertise so that people can begin to not be intimidated by this or just dismiss it out of hand because it's something that they've never seen before,
right.
But a recognition. I know you had Rick Kirkendall did an interview with Rick and talked
a great,
about
inspiring interview with Rick where he talked about the importance of the civil justice system and how we got to work together to save it as lawyers and as citizens in partnership with our clients.
Right, and the key being, the mass torts. There are opponents. Mike Papantonio at the conference earlier today talked about some of the political and societal pressures that are prejudicing and injuring the civil justice system. And now we have a tool. We really believe we've got a great tool for the aggregation of these claims, the negotiation of claims in a way. And just talk about this briefly before we wrap up. People tend to think in terms of litigation. I mean, a big part of your career has really been about not going to war. I mean, with the book and the movies.
A big part of my career was about going to war, and so that hopefully a bigger part of my career will be about how we have to avoid war. Where I think historically we are all learning that war ends in exhaustion, and we really have to come up with other ways to deal with these problems if we're going to make it to the other side of the 21st century. The trust concept really is an expression of that recognition, as a lawyer, that conflict takes a lot of energy and time and money, especially time, not to mention the money. And if we have another device to engage people, and the trust is great because what the trust allows us to do is to be able to create a legal vehicle to bring our clients together with the legal and professional talent, and then to be able to engage the companies who may be responsible to sit down now, share information, try and answer the questions, because we have far more questions on the front end of the journey than we do answers, and allows us to do that. And then we do that when we have done this, as you and I have done in other cases that have not become cases, actually, matters that have not become cases. We've actually have resolved them, sometimes even to the surprise of us.
Exactly.
And I have no doubt that if we use this in this developing mass tort, that we will accelerate the process of engaging the companies responsible for manufacturing these drugs, and to sit down and figure out, okay, let's get a consensus about what happened, and now let's figure out what's best to be done about it.
Right, and that the money that is paid in, that the money that is utilized to resolve a claim, to right wrongs, is given to the maximum degree and to the maximum benefit to the injured parties.
Rather than being eaten up in all of the costs that are attendant, and there are tremendous costs about fighting over the issue, why don't we spend that money earlier? And money over time makes more money. So you can do with a lot less earlier than you end up doing with a lot more later.
Well, and as we've both talked, and maybe we'll end it on this note, we've been looking for the opportunity to call the bluff of the tort reform people that have said, well, we want a different methodology. We want something where all this money isn't being wasted, and we know that injured parties. Well, we think we've devised it, and now it's going to be put up or shut up time. For a lot of the defense interests and the tort reform people, and it'll be interesting to see what the response is to them now that we've actually come up with their supposed solution.
Well, it's a challenge really to everyone, though. It's a challenge at the convention. We really have challenged lawyers, plaintiffs' lawyers, those who represent the many who have been injured by the few, a challenge to them to be a leader so that we can challenge the other side. And yes, it challenges us all really to think about doing things a better way, a more efficient way, a more civilized way to get to a solution to these problems that bedevil us, and we need to solve them. We've got to solve these human-made problems so that we can go on and have a better and a safer and a healthier world.
Well, I think that's a great note to end on, Jan. We've got another full day ahead here.
Yes,
we've got a lot more to go, and we just thank people for joining us. This is going to be a series of ongoing video and audio podcasts as we kind of continue this journey, and also the expansion of the Civil Action Center, the expansion of the Legal Broadcast Network. We've got several new channels that we're about to announce that are coming out, and people will be seeing more of us, not less. So Jan, thanks for joining us, and this is Mark Wahlstrom and Jan Schlichtmann from the Mass Torts Made Perfect Conference in Las Vegas, Nevada.